Listen, this is what we do. Learning each time. Thank you so much. As I was saying, thank you for joining me for this first Waypoint Weekly. We're working out all the kinks apparently. I wanted to take this time to give everybody a moment to just get in, say hi, say hello, drop a heart in the chat or a comment just to let me know what's going on in your life. The first couple of minutes in our Waypoint Weeklies are always going to be about just sharing your wins, sharing where you are, and just coming together as a crew and supporting each other. So is there anybody that wants to come off mute right now? Just speak about how their day was or how their week was in regards to education or just life in general. If not, that's okay too. I just wanted to give that moment because part of the biggest thing when developing a community around education is that everybody feels welcome and supported, and that you have a chance to just air some things off of your chest if needed. So if nobody wants to share right now, that's okay. Hopefully, you'll share somewhere along the call.
I
So
know something.
I'm sure, of course. Go ahead, Miss Jackson.
I was just gonna say I was telling my kids really quick that I missed the kids at school.
You do. You missed them already, right?
Uh-huh. I miss their badness. Cause now I got another kind of badness at home. You know? It's
Hey,
another
so,
level.
yes, I completely understand. Like you forget how much life changes when school lets out, right?
Yes, I miss the juggling of it.
I'm right there with you. I think this is kind of taking over a little bit of that angst for me, just making this business for you all is taking a little bit off of that anxiousness. But I do miss being in the schools and the buildings every day, and seeing you guys daily and walking through the buildings and just seeing the hustle and the bustle of school. So I'm right there with you, Miss Jackson. Anybody else? All right. So if you could just give me a thumbs up in the chat just to let me know that you can see my screen, and we can go ahead and get started. And everybody see the screen? Thumbs up. Yes. Awesome. Thank you. So this week we are talking about your end of year reset. For some of you, you've already finished the school year. For others of you, it's about to end. So we have to talk about what that looks like for each of us and where we're feeling and how we're going to progress going forward throughout the summer to reset so we can start fresh next year. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, welcome to our first Waypoint Weekly. I just want to congratulate you and say you've made it or you're almost there. So either way, it's been a long journey since the beginning of September. So we're pulling it on in, and you're finishing up this year of navigation and transforming your career and just simply surviving May and June. Like that is enough and it matters. So I just want to ease your mind a little bit to let you know that your Waypoint Weeklies they're not formal meetings. They're not this space where you can't ask questions and just be yourself. This is where you come together with your community and just get anything off of your chest that you might be feeling, any questions that you might have, and just have a real low risk area of support. This is not another training. It's not another webinar. It's not one more thing for you to add to your to-do list. It's literally a place for us to come together, learn, and grow, honestly. So this is your time to get that educator exhale. I'm not coming in with my pen and paper to observe you and give you points on the scale. This is literally where you can just be honest with yourself, connect, reset, troubleshoot, celebrate, just keep moving forward together. That's our goal for these calls. Okay. So right now, let's get a temperature check. Here's your Wayfinder weather report. You know, as we're sailing the seas, weather can be any kind of way. So I want to see where you are. Let's gauge how you're feeling at this point in the school year, coming towards an end. Are you feeling sunny but tired? Full storm warning? Um, it's a little foggy and uncertain, like what's happening next, or you're barely hanging on by like a tornado thread, or you're happy after the rain. So take a moment, put that in the chat, one word or an emoji. Just let me know how you're feeling today, because it's important to just share that and just be honest with ourselves and each other. I think for me, as I'm waiting for you to share, I would say right now, I am sunny but tired. I'm happy and excited that it's the end of the year, and I'm happy that I'm doing all these exciting things for you guys. But I will say it is a little draining. It is a little tiring, but there's always, some light at the end of the tunnel. I see you in the chat, Ms. Jackson. She said, happy after the rain. Absolutely. For some of us, the year might have been a little crazy. I think you came in at the end of the year. So it was a lot to take on at once, if I'm not mistaken, right, Ms. Jackson? So I can see why you put that in the chat. All right, so we've got some people that are happy after the rain, sunny but tired. Hopefully nobody is barely hanging on. I hope we can avoid that part of it. All right, so let's just keep going, move on so we can get through the meat of our call today, which is talking about our actual reset. Okay, so one of the things I want to discuss is that we have to normalize some things about education. And it's definitely some things that nobody really talks about. And that's that end of the year fatigue, that end of the year exhaustion. Teachers and educators, we do so much all year long. I don't think anybody really processes how many decisions educators make in a day. And that's regardless of whether you are full-time teaching, as in like the main lead teacher in the room, teacher support, a tutor. You make decisions all the time. If you can drop in the chat, if you could, or come off mute, how many decisions do you think you've actually made today? I know I've made at least, I don't know, I'm over exaggerating, probably 1,000, because my mind is just all over the place. But I'm certain you've made at least 100 decisions in a day. And that's with us not being around students all day. So you can imagine what that might be like in a sense of being in the classroom full time. So people don't really talk about that. And that's one of the myths we want to kind of debunk, that, oh, teaching is easy. You just go in there, you stand up in front of a bunch of kids, and you deliver your lesson, and everything goes smoothly after that. And we know that is not the case. Anybody who's been in a classroom at any point in time. Next, we want to discuss like emotional depletion. That's something that you might be feeling right now. Just the tired fatigueness of being able to take on the emotions of little people, right? Our students, and they come in with, how they might be feeling from home, something that might have happened on the bus, or just something that happened as they were walking in the building that day. So at the end of the year, you've given yourself so much to your students because we care, right? That's who we are as educators. We care about our students, and it does tend to take a toll on you emotionally, and you have to be able to rebuild and refuel and get yourself going again. And so we have to remember that there's nothing wrong with taking care of ourselves and protecting ourselves. And then we move on to your unfinished tasks. I know I have lots of unfinished tasks that I can just put on a list and just try to scratch them off. And we have to remember, you may not get through everything in a day. And that is 100% okay if you don't. Like, be realistic with yourself. Do not set 100 things for you to do. Just make a list, and we're going to stick to that and try to move through this summer with as less stress as possible. And then the guilt around resting. I know as an educator, we think we have to do it all, and we have to do it all the time, right? There's always something to do, a lesson plan to make, a game to create, something to put on Canva or Class Dojo. There's always something that you feel like you can be doing, but it's the summer, or you're coming on the brink of the summer, and it's okay to rest. I mean, there shouldn't be this guilt around resting as an educator. I know people have this misconception that teachers get summers off. Yes, you do. In a sense, you do get summers off, but there's still planning that takes place, professional development you could be engaging in. So there is nothing wrong with taking a minute just to replenish yourself and fill your own cup. It's absolutely okay. And last but not least, and I think most teachers are guilty of this, and that is comparison. Just comparing yourself to the Pinterest teacher or the TPT post, or even the teacher that's working right next door to you or in the same room with you. Everybody's on their own journey, on their own path, and navigating their own way. So there's no real reason for you to compare yourself to the next person for any reason. Your journey is yours and yours alone. And as long as you have the right crew to support you, you will thrive. I can promise you that. So I welcome you, and I hope we can take some of these myths off of our plate and have an open mind going forward for the rest of the summer. So if you have any of these feelings, just raise your hand or give a thumbs up in the chat. If you have made a decision at least 3 times daily today, or said you were tired at least 3 times today just from making it through the day. And if you're still in school, just getting through that school day. Right. So give me some reactions here, people. Give me something in the chat. Like, have you been feeling this way, or is it just me? Because it might just be me. Okay. So everybody is well rested. That's wonderful. That's what we're striving for. And so that is completely okay. Um, we're going to talk about our next thing, and it is the architecture of burnout. So there is this idea that being burned out means you're weak. And I know I'm talking to educators right now, but this is not even just solely for us. This is at any facet, at any job, that the idea of you being burnt out is that you're weak and you can't control your job, or you can't handle the task at hand. And that is simply not the truth. And I want to debunk that myth in your brain right now. Burnout is truly unsustainable systems plus emotional overload. So a lot of times you're taking on so many things, especially in the educational role. You're not just teaching kids, you are acting as the guidance counselor, sometimes the school nurse, the psychologist, the behavior management specialist, and for lack of better words, sometimes the parent in some cases. So you're taking all of these responsibilities on, and you have this emotional overload that you're taking on from those that you're servicing. And if you think about it, if you don't have systems in place to deal with all of these roles and all of these things, then it's very easy to get overwhelmed and burnt out. And I don't want you to think that if you are burnt out, it's a failure. You just need to realign. And that's where coming together in a community and sharing your ideas and what you're doing to deal with these roles in your job is for. Just learning from each other and growing with each other, and being able to share how we are overcoming this feeling of being burnt out. So hopefully you can stick with us on our weekly calls, and we'll go through different management systems to get you started on the next year strong. But please understand that if you are feeling burnt out at this point in the year, it is not your fault. You just have some realigning to do, and so that you can continue to grow and set sail smoothly. Okay. Now, this is the lie that most of us tell ourselves. I can say honestly to you right now that I have said this to myself at least twice today. So just because I'm sharing this with you does not mean I am not learning from myself in the moment. The lie that we tell ourselves all the time is, I'll rest later. Please, we all have to stop doing that. Okay. We postpone restoration endlessly as educators. But the reality is, rest is productive. We need it, right? Some of the things that we try to put off, and we'll say, oh, I'll take care of myself after the school year ends. That's fine. I'll be all right. I can wait. And so you push things off. Your goalpost moves, and you'll say, I'll do it in June, and then I'll do it in July. And before you know it, you are exhausted. That exhaustion compounds, and you're tense and you're stressed. And then you say, oh, I'll get around to like taking a vacation in August and taking a break in August. And before you know it, the summer is gone. So we want to be thinking about what we're going to do and what we're going to protect early in the summer so that we can have manageable goals throughout the summer so that, yes, we can stay on task, but we do preserve those things that are important to us. Things like family time or studying if you're in a certification course, or simply watching that series of This Is Us from start to finish and just doing nothing for a couple of days. That's okay. I'm giving you the permission right now to do nothing for a day or two and just understand that it's okay. So, as we're going through these moments, I want you to think to yourself, what's one thing that you've been telling yourself that you will do after school ends? And it could be anything. It could be going on a vacation, taking some sleep time, family, spending time with your kids or your grandkids, organizing your life, or simply just doing nothing. All of those answers are okay. If you want to share, drop that in the chat or come off mute. This is an open forum. So whenever you have something that you want to share with the group, please go ahead and put your hand up and come off mute and share. Oh, Sierra said building her business. Okay, so we got some entrepreneurs, educational entrepreneurs. I like that. I'm right there with you. Like, so just making sure that you're blocking out time for that. And if it means setting an alarm on your phone or putting a reminder in your calendar and saying, every day at 12 o'clock, I'm going to set this time for 3 hours to build my business or grow my brand or, plan for my classroom, making sure you set that time aside and protect it, because it's so easy in the summer to get lost in the sauce, for lack of better words, and just neglect your own personal needs because you think that your classroom is your entire life, and it's not. You are a whole person outside of your classroom, and we need to make sure we're protecting that. So we want to look at rest as a productive strategy. So I have this deficit radar chart here, and it may look a little interesting to detect what is going on here. And I want to explain it to you. Oh, I see you, Miss Jackson said you want to schedule your summer months for production. All right, I'm gonna hold you to that. So when you get my email and I'm like, what are we producing this month? Don't act like you don't know me, okay? So here's our rest deficit radar chart. When we're looking at our personal self and growth, we have to make sure we're protecting it in all of these categories. We got to protect our physical body, our social life, our emotional life, your mental capacity, and your creative life. This is where I am right now. I have been lacking, if you see where my little red dots are, in my physical, emotional, and mental space. Why? Because I've given so much this school year. I can't remember the last time I've actually gone to the gym and worked out. I don't know if any of you can relate. So there's some physical things that I need to work on there, or drinking my herbal tea in the morning to maintain my calm, or there's some things that I need to put back in place. I know one of my neighbors is doing a 45-day fast. Now, I'm not that brave, so I won't be doing that. But I am going to put my health back in a priority, because I know that's where I'm lacking. We had someone in the chat, Ms. Jackson said she's gonna listen to her podcast on the way into school. Absolutely. I know I've got a couple of people, and my sister, she is a podcast person too, and it's very it's like part of her morning routine. So absolutely, I agree with that. And protecting our emotional space is important too. Making sure we are making time for that connection with those that we love, whether it's your partner, your kids, your family members. I know one of the things that I'm dedicating myself to is making sure I spend time with my grandparents this summer. And because just having that time with the elderly and our elders in our family, you gain so much from it, emotionally and mentally. And that's something that I've been lacking on throughout the school year. So I want to make sure I make that change emotionally and mentally. So just think about where you are on this radar chart. That'll be one of the things I'll be releasing in the school community. If you're a part of our school community, is where you can take a small assessment and kind of see where you are on the chat, and see where, based off of some questions, where you're lacking and what you might need to focus on this summer. So if you have taken the opportunity to join school, that's going to be dropping soon. And if not, it's okay. Hopefully you'll join us later and you'll still have access to it. So I would like for, as we transition to our next portion, our next slide, if you take a second in the chat, just drop where you think you're most overdue right now. Just the one word, would you say you're most overdue in your social capacity, physical, emotional, mental, or your creative capacity? Let's see where we are as a group. I would say for me, I would go mostly my physical capacity is where I need to recharge. Is there anybody else that wants to share at this time? Thank you. I see someone said their creative capacity. Thank you. TV said their mental and creative capacity. So as you're saying these things, I want you to think to yourself, how am I going to protect that? What am I going to do to increase the level of which I dedicate time to those areas? Okay. All right. Here is the summer identity crisis chart. I know that all of us fit in this category somewhere. So we've got, between the categories of rest and the hustle and bustle of life, the intentional parts of, or being chaotic parts of our life. Where do we fall in this identity crisis? Are you the certification survivor? Are you someone who's in that I Teach program or trying to get ready for your praxis, and you're like in a panic about what's in store for you next year? You're focused, but you're strained a little bit. Or are you the productivity pirate who overbooks the summer, compares productivity, and is in constant motion? Some of you are where you need to be. You are the rest king or queen. And you're in that goal state of unapologetic recovery. I will be honest with you, I'm not even there yet, but we're going to work to get there together. And then last but not least, the classroom Pinterest spiral. So endlessly scrolling on TikTok and Instagram and Pinterest, seeing what all the other teachers are doing, trying to figure out exactly what you're going to prep to get ready, and you're feeling guilty about resting. If you are in any of these places, it is okay. We are going to work together to get to the point where we are the rest kings or queens, and we are there for unapologetically being restful and recovering and protecting our best self. Um, I see you, Ms. Jackson. You said trying to keep an even balance each week where it's needed. I think that's a good place to be, right? We want to make sure we're being productive. We don't want to be lazy over the summer, but it is okay to rest still, right? So just be thinking about that and seeing which summer educator you are or you feel like you are defaulting to at this moment. If you get a chance, we can drop that in the chat as well. And I'm going to continue going for the interest of time. I want to protect your time. That's one of the things about any Wayfinder event. That is my non-negotiable. Is that there is no after school hours. There's no overtime. If we say we're going to stop at 6:30, we will stop at 6:30 or before. There's nothing worse than being an educator and having a last minute, oh, we need you to stay after school for an hour-long meeting. That is not the Wayfinder way. We finish on time here. So we're going to keep going. So you might be thinking, how can I get to this area of strategic rest and unapologetic recovery? It may seem like it's something that you just do, but in reality, you have to plan to rest. And I know that sounds insane, but it's true. You do have to plan to rest because you have to look at what is on your plate right now and see where the task at hand fall in place. So what we don't want to do is fall into that chaotic drift out at sea where we just letting the days go as they come. Because we start in that May exhaustion and then you get into that guilt-ridden rest and then you're panic planning come August, trying to get everything done. And before you know it, September is here. You're getting ready to get your students and you are already burnt out before the first quarter ends. So we don't want to do that. We want to avoid the chaotic drift and procrastination of it all. We want to plan strategically or plan our voyage strategically. So you're going to kind of work in a backwards flow to do that, right? So we're in this May exhaustion state. You want to give yourself time for intentional recovery. So for many of you, that may look like a couple weeks and saying, you know what, for the next 2 to 3 weeks, I am not touching anything that has to do with school. I know that sounds insane to anybody that lives in the education world, but it's needed. It is needed. So give yourself 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever you feel like is necessary for you, some time to do absolutely nothing that has to do with your classroom, with school, professional development, unless it's a time-sensitive certification matter. Give yourself that opportunity to spend it with your family and friends and just live life carefree for a couple weeks. Go to the beach, go out to a meal, spend time with those that you love. Because then when you're ready to get into that next step, that next phase of being focused on planning for the next year, you have the mental capability to do so. So you're in that focused preparation phase, and you can do so without feeling panicked or overwhelmed. You're coming at it with a clear heart, clear mind. And then you're going to work up to your purposeful growth. So you've had your focused preparation, and then you're going to think about things that you can do to grow your craft. This is where we start looking into like midsummer, maybe some professional developments that you can go to or some conferences for educators to help build your craft so that you have fresh new perspectives and ideas for the upcoming year. Maybe signing up for your school community and getting into these weekly huddles on a regular basis so that you have a community to share your ideas with. All of those things are in that growth mindset area. If you can do all of those before the middle of August, you are setting yourself up for success come September. 1, you're not tired. 2, you have put systems in place. 3, you will have built a community that is filled with people that are willing to help you grow, and you've educated yourself on some skills that where you feel like you were lacking, and then you can come into September or August if your school year starts in August ready to go, strong, with a clear mind, ready to welcome your students on that first day. Because unbeknownst to many, classroom management and planning starts well before your students arrive. So we want to make sure we have the mindset to do that. So here are your 3 cargo buckets for the summer. We want to make sure that we have time to prepare, recover, and grow, right? Your recovery should be your biggest bucket. It should take up the most of your bucket, because trust me, you will have lots of time to work as hard as you absolutely can when the school year starts. So we want to make sure we protect that recovery time, and that's going to be your highest, weight distribution. And then want to dedicate equal time to your preparation and growth. So if we don't do these things, sometimes we feel like we are taking on too much in a certain area or not enough in others. So I want you to be thinking about which bucket requires your immediate attention right now so you can stop feeling like you're capsizing. Whether it's you need to focus more on preparation because you haven't and you know that you need to have systems in place, or you need to focus more on your growth because you're saying, hey, I've got certification coming up, or I know I need to register for my next assessment coming up. So that's where I need to focus most of my time. Or you could be the ultimate planner where you've done all of your prep and you've already signed up for your PD and you need to focus on your recovery time. So figure out where you're lacking in these areas so that you can feel secure and set sail smoothly for the rest of the summer. So I'm going to take a minute right here and to pause and just to check in with you, because I want to make sure that 1, we're following and we're together. 2, you're not sitting on the other side of that screen going, she's talking to me, but I have no clue what she's saying. So if there are any questions or any share outs or anything that you would like to take this moment to ask in the middle of this presentation, go ahead and let me know. Because I want you to remember this is a community. You have free ability to speak, ask questions, pause, do whatever we need to do together. Is everybody good? If everybody's good, give me a thumbs up and we can keep on rolling. I don't see anybody hand getting raised, so I'm going to take that as we're good to go. Awesome. All right. So we're going to look at the engine of sustainability, because you're going to, you need to understand that resting and preparing, they're not at odds, they work together and they should flow in this cycle. A lot of people think that if I am preparing, I'm not resting, or if I'm resting, I'm not preparing. And that's not the case. So we have to work in a flow. And like Ms. Jackson said earlier on in the call, try to keep an even balance each week and figure out where it's needed. Just making sure that we're paying attention to all of these different areas and planning accordingly so that we don't feel overwhelmed in any facet. So right now, this is where your action comes in. I'm going to give you about 10 to 20 seconds to type this in the chat. And I actually want you to type it in the chat because I want you to commit to it. And there's something strategic about writing something down, right? It makes it more tangible. It makes it more real to you, and it makes you own it a little bit more. So I want you to drop your anchor for this summer. I want you to tell me one thing that you refuse to sacrifice in this moment, in this summer. So it could be for you sleep, family dinners, your joy, your health, your peace, your ability to be creative. I want everybody to take a moment, drop that sentence, drop your anchor in the chat for me. And I'm going to give you a few moments to think about it, about what it could be for you, and drop that in the chat. I see that. Thank you. I see you, Sierra. Definitely my peace. This summer, I refuse to sacrifice my peace. I love that. Who's next? If you're in a space where you can't type, you want to come off mute and say it out loud, that is also welcomed. I love that. Thank you, Miss Jackson. She said, this summer, I refuse to sacrifice my spirituality, peace, health, happiness, or family. She's going big. That's right. Go big or go home, Miss Jackson. Thank you. Everybody give her a round of applause. A nice little heart here. I love that. She said, oh, I'm not sacrificing anything this summer. Anybody else? While we're waiting for those to come in, I will say for myself, I am refusing to sacrifice my creativity this summer. I want to make sure I create space for that. Sierra, were you coming off mute? Because it looks like you came off mute. Did you want to share something else? No? Okay.
Oh, no, that was my mistake. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I just wanted to make sure that you had the space to share if you wanted to. All right. So for those of you who are still taking the moment to think about it, see if we can get that in before the end of the call today, because I want you to commit to this protection of what's going to make you authentically you and help you be your best self coming into the summer. All right. Now that we have talked about what we are not willing to sacrifice, I want you to take a moment to look at your course correction. So here, what is one thing that right now you could say is causing you overwhelm? Because if we're going to protect the elements that we just discussed, the things you refuse to sacrifice during the summer, that means you need to create strategic plans and put systems in place to fix the areas that are causing you overwhelm. So maybe for you, it is a certification deadline, or maybe for you, it's putting your application in for your LLC so that you can focus on your business. Or maybe it's just classroom uncertainty. You want new systems in place for your classroom management, or planning anxiety or active burnout. What's going to be your heavy lifting for this summer? So I want you to process that. If you're feeling the space to share, you can drop that in the chat. But this is personal, and I want it to stay with you right now. Think about where you're feeling overwhelmed, what's going to be your heavy lifting, and how you're going to get to that goal without sacrificing your anchor. I'm going to let you sit with that for a moment. What are you going to do the heavy lifting in without sacrificing your anchor? All right. Now, we cannot end on that note. So this is a moment for us to share. And I will be forever grateful if you could either come off mute or drop in the chat for this part. Just sharing one huge win from the school year, or something you might have gotten clarity on, or what feels heavy, or what can this community help you solve. So we're going to get some share ins and some share outs. I'd like to focus in this segment on the wins, because even if you had an extremely stressful year, you've had at least one win somewhere, maybe with a student who has made an accomplishment, or maybe personally, just letting that come out and sharing that with your community. All right, I'm gonna do the teacher thing. I'm gonna call. All right, so Sierra, what's one big win from this year that you had?
Sorry, okay. Say that again.
What's one big win that you've had from this school year? It could be academically, or it can be personally in life.
Personally, I have started reading more. Finally finished my first book. And I'm sorry.
So you finished your first book. You need another one? You need a recommendation for your second? I'm a true coach at heart. So she told me her win. I'm already pushing her to her second book. But that's wonderful. I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you. TB, what's one big win that you have from this year? Thank you for sharing, Sierra.
One big win I had, because I work with the homeless population, I was able to house a homeless individual. That's a big win for me.
Nice. Okay. Making a difference. Making a difference. I love that. Thank you for sharing. And Miss Jackson, what's one big win? Sierra, did you mean to
Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead. Yes, I can hear you now, Miss Jackson.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess just learning how to directly connect with the kids on another level was a really big win. And just being able to like be in the classroom and kind of see where some teachers may have lost a connection and still gain it back for them to get to the end of the year. So I would say that was my major win this year.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. True connection with our students is so important. And I think a lot of educators do lose that spark and forget that our students have so much going on at home or before they get to our classroom. And so being able to be in tune to who they really are and make that connection is really what's going to shift the needle in their classrooms. So I appreciate you for saying that. That's so true. All right. So we are coming towards the end of our time, and we're making great time. We're on WAYPoint Wayfinder time. I love that. So before next Wednesday, I want you to choose a waypoint for yourself. Now, it could be any one of these things, or you could be like Miss Jackson and say, I'm planning on doing all 5. I'm not sacrificing anything. So whatever your waypoint is, I want you to choose your pathway and commit to it for the next 7 days. So whether it is you are going to rest intentionally, whether it's you're going to finish one certification task, declutter one teaching system, or if you're not worrying about teaching right now, maybe you're going to declutter one area in your house. I will give you that modification because sometimes a clear space leads to a clear mind. I truly believe that. Or you can go on pathway 4 and spend uninterrupted time with your family, or pathway 5, creating a summer plan. So whatever your pathway is, you commit to it, type that number in the chat. It can just be 1 through 5. And so we together are going to commit to a waypoint for the next 7 days. I'm going to drop mine in the chat, and I'm going to go with pathway 3. I'm going to put that into a space in my home. I'm going to declutter my space so I can have a decluttered mind. So I'll be looking for your pathways in the chat so that we can commit to them together, and I can check in on you and see how you're going with that. I've got someone that's on pathway 2, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's Miss Williams. Pathway 2 is finish a certification task. We've got CB on pathway 3, the decluttering. I love that. So in this space, we are going to hold each other accountable. And hopefully when we check back in next Wednesday on our WAYPoint call, we can share out how we've done with our weekly WAYPoint. Oh, I see Miss Jackson. She said she just completed. So she's going to do 4 because she created 5 today. All right. She's already ahead of the game. You didn't even know. So as we close out, I want to leave you with these questions just so we can continue to, 1, grow our community, and I can continue to grow and be better for you. So if there's anything that you feel like, as we discussed today, that you need clarity on, or if there's anything that still feels heavy, or if you have a question or you want to give insight into what this community can help you solve, please feel free to share out and let me know. Otherwise, you can give me a thumbs up and say, hey, I'm good here. And just let me know how this call has helped you in any kind of way, or how I can grow and help make it better. Welcome to any and all feedback. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed our first Huddle TV. I appreciate that.
I thoroughly enjoyed the open space to be able to share.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Ms. Jackson. Hopefully you will come back and join us. For the first call, I really wanted to focus on just the idea and mindset of rest before we dive deep into work. It's the end of the year and everyone deserves that time. And I wanted to make sure we all I gave you the permission, because sometimes we need the permission to rest and just be our authentic selves. And so I appreciate you saying that. Well, if there are no other comments at this time and our hearts and minds are clear, I want to tell you officially, welcome aboard. You are now part of the crew. And I thank you for joining us tonight for our Wayfinder WAYPoint Weekly Huddle. Hopefully you'll join us on our next call next Wednesday, 5:30 to 6:30. And I will see you next time. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good night, everybody.
You too. Good night.